Novo lit that shit and bang.
Welcome back, everybody, to Crows of Judgment, and today I want to talk about the statement that was released by Pyrocynical just about a month ago in regards to the allegations by Ivory Rasmus that Pyrocynical had groomed him. Now, those of you who are aware, I did address this on a stream, but the streams are pretty long, so I want to do its own video, go into this as deeply as I can, because a lot of people are saying that this response isn't good enough. It is full of lies, misinformation, and it's attacking the victim. I completely disagree. I completely disagree. I said during the stream I thought there were parts that are a little disingenuous, but in terms of saying that they were outright lies, no. And let's just jump into this right now. So first off, the part that I think is totally disingenuous is for him to say, "Hey gamers." Hey gamers, fuck off. We all know what that's about. But in all seriousness, I would like to take this opportunity to address a false allegation recently made against me on Twitter. As some of you may have seen, it has been claimed back in 2016 when I was 19 years old that I groomed an individual who was 15 years old at the time. Now, this might be nitpicky and everything, but part of it is, 20 and 16, 19 and 15. Essentially, I would just say it's about a 3 to a 4-year age gap at all times between both individuals. I want to set the record straight with you all and share the truth. The accusation is 100% false and incredibly irresponsible. Now, I've seen some of the most absurd takes on this where they go, he's saying everything here was false. It's pretty clear he's saying the allegation of grooming is 100% false, right? And I think that that's an incredibly true statement because as we saw on Tommy C's interview with Ivory.
And have you ever gone to London?
At least, I think. No.
Okay.
I've never traveled out of the tri-state area.
Okay. Was there any, when he invited you, was there any kind of indication that it was sort of a date in any way? That there would be a wink wink, that there would be some kind of, date-like act with sexual interaction? Did he give you that idea at all?
He didn't, if he was, I didn't pick up on it. So,
okay.
I'll say
Did he
no.
ever ask you for nudes?
No.
No. So here's what I'm not understanding. And how were you groomed?
I was
Because
put into,
you don't need to be groomed for this to be wrong. Let me tell you something right now. If this
Yeah.
this conversation itself, assuming it took place, and it's looking like it did, is completely inappropriate for an adult to have with a child. But the grooming thing, that brings it to a whole new level. I mean, now we're talking about people that are, not just having a dirty conversation with an underage person, but plan to do something about it. Is it really fair that you use the word grooming? And if that's true, if you feel that's true, where was this going?
See, I'm not I don't know.
Ivory was unable to define the accusation of grooming. He said he did not know why he was making the accusation. When Tommy C asked him if anyone had told him to say that, he had said that he was in a Discord call with his friends at the time. Now, Ivory then went on to Twitter afterwards and said he didn't actually care what the definition of grooming was, that Pyrocynical is 100% a groomer. I wanted to bring that part up because, again, absurd takes on this don't do anything for anyone, right? It's clear that this response is the allegation of grooming. Now, over here, I am not denying that in the past I took part in conversations with others that many of you will understandably consider to be weird and distasteful. Probably an understatement. Definitely an understatement. It was careless of me not to consider who was behind the roleplay/art sharing, and I take full accountability. So I will say that. I mean, he does address that right off the bat because people have said it's irresponsible what he did. He should have known. He should have asked questions. Now, at this point, it has come out that, at a certain point, he did actually ask the age of the individual. At that point, the person was 16. And I've already said age of consent. We're talking about a 4-year age gap. And it is legal where he lives. So I expect people to follow the law. And as you can see on the screen here, this tweet by Nicholas Diorio, when arguing with Tommy C, he said that Tommy C was super downplaying it. It is a downplay to say that if you cannot prove that he knew he was 15 at the time, that does change the nature of these allegations, because one is predatory and one is actually following the law. Now, maybe you feel differently about it, and that's fine, right? But we have to actually go into what is true and what is false about this response that he gave, and kind of why I don't think putting out another response does anything other than give content to people. And I would be one of those people who would get content out of it, absolutely. I don't think it actually helps anybody out other than the people who want to, put videos out about it, because it doesn't matter what he says. This reply came out and you had people jump in and say, everything in here is false. It's misleading. It's misinformation, yada, yada, blah, 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 all this bullshit, right? Again, this is the response into him being a groomer or not. But these exchanges never amounted to anything other than fantasy roleplay. I have never sent or solicited nude or IRL content. I've never tried to engineer an illicit encounter or lure anybody into anything. I've never built a dialogue, connection, or relationship with the intention of manipulating or exploiting anyone. This was even confirmed by Ivory himself in an interview. And we just showed you that clip. Now, so as you can see from Turkey Tom's video, right, there was an exchange in which they did talk about meeting IRL. The thing is, I've seen people jump in to say he was clearly trying to meet him to have sex with him. Again, first off, that would be legal. They're both consenting adults under the law in the United Kingdom. And if they wanted to engage in a sexual relationship, that's even legal in the state where Ivory is from. Now, you can take a moral stance against it. I understand that, right? But in nowhere in this exchange do we see them talking about having sex with each other. It's not before or after the messages. And maybe it's there. And if it does exist, I implore Ivory to release it, since he's been very selective in the content that he puts out to other people. So if it's there, please release it, because, at least it would give a firm stance on whether or not there was an actual lie given here. But as of right now, that is still a truthful statement.
And have you ever gone to London?
At least, I think. No.
Okay.
I've never traveled out of the tri-state area.
Okay. Was there when he invited you, was there any kind of indication that it was sort of a date in any way? That there would be a wink wink, that there would be some kind of, date-like act with sexual interaction? Did he give you that idea at all?
He didn't, if he was, I didn't pick up on it. So
okay.
He never at any point stated that he felt uncomfortable, and if he did, I never would have continued to message and respond to him. Every exchange between Ivory and I was fully consensual and reciprocal. That is a truthful statement, and I've heard some very high IQ individuals who have criticized me stating that this is victim blaming. I do not see Ivory as a victim. That is my stance on this. I've read through those chats. I don't see any pressure being put onto Ivory. In fact, I've seen Ivory, before engaging in this relationship with Pyrocynical, try to engage in this relationship with Pyrocynical. There was no pressure put on him. And in fact, he has engaged in these relationships with other adults, in Ivory's own words. So I take great offense to saying that he was manipulated or he was pushed or pressured or coerced. That did not happen, and nobody has proven that happened. And again, if Ivory has messages otherwise where he says, I don't feel right about this, it's making me feel uncomfortable, and Pyrocynical pushes him, then I would say that's an actual argument, but we have not seen that at all. Now, here's a part where I think you could argue it's disingenuous, right? He never once disclosed the fact that he was 15 at the time these exchanges commenced. He didn't include his age in his bio until he was 16, but I was not on Twitter between 28th December 2016 until 29th June 2017, as I was suspended. Now, this is something I do take an issue with, right? It's never once been proven that Pyrocynical actually knew that Ivory was 15. Although people have tried to argue that Ivory was completely open by showing Twitter chats where Ivory says he's 15, those are replies to other individuals. The issue with that is, I follow quite a few people on Twitter. and I don't go through what they're replying to other people. I don't search for terms or anything like that. And if Ivory was as open as everyone's saying he is, we would have seen a chat at some point between him and Pyrocynical where he says openly that he is 15 years old. Now, I know that there is a content creator known as iNabber, I believe, who has said that he knew Ivory was 15. I want to think about that one for a second. People knew Ivory was engaging in erotic roleplay in these NSFW chats, engaging with other individuals. So I would kind of question if iNabber is just jumping onto this, if he actually knew, because my issue with that is that means that iNabber knew that there was a 15-year-old engaging sexually with adults, and for some reason took no issue with that. It's possible that he knew he was 16. Maybe he did know he was 15, but I guess that would be on iNabber to actually make a statement on. But as far as it being a disingenuous statement, he did clearly know at a certain point that Ivory was 16. I've already said, you're talking about arguing the morality of a 4-year age gap with someone who is at age of consent. I kind of feel it's a weak argument, but if that's where you want to take your case, by all means, go for it. Being 30, I don't see much of a difference between someone who is 20 and someone who is 16, just based on maturity. In fact, even on a live stream, I went through the APA, who said that, the biggest maturity gap between age groups does not exist between 16 and 17 and people that were 18 and I believe 21. But you can correct me on that if I'm wrong there. I'll put the article into the description of this video so you can feel free to argue with me over it. Moreover, individuals have since come forward contending that Ivory would be disingenuous about his age to proactively gain entry to other fantasy roleplay groups. Now, to be clear here, people did come forward. Some of those people did recant. Some of those people still made the claim. I understand that not all of them actually had knowledge of Ivory, right? Or were in direct contact with Ivory or anything of that nature. What I will say, though, is most of these fantasy roleplay groups that Ivory would have been a part of were engaged in erotic roleplay. So I would think that he would have had to have said something in order to gain entry into those groups, because he was doing this prior to Pyrocynical, but that can't be proven one way or the other. I do think that there's an argument that he was disingenuous about his age, but at the end of the day, it would be like the other people arguing that Pyrocynical must have known he was 15. Neither statement can actually be proven. There's evidence to support both, but again, this is not a lie. Could it be disingenuous? Possibly. I guess it's up to your opinion on it, but to say it's an outright lie is a lie in itself. I'm really confused by Ivory's inconsistency. There's evidence to suggest that he has engaged in fantasy roleplay with another individual similar in age to me. This individual was also not aware of Ivory's age at the time, but in this particular example, it was Ivory who very much initiated and directed the roleplay. So let me go ahead and pull that up for people. And if there's anything NSFW in here, I'm going to stop. Oh, so this is Ivory, went by Crumar on Discord. Oh yeah, do you remember when we nut in call? Jesus Christ. Goodness, those were the days. Yeah, though it took me a lot of times to say no at first, haha. Haha, thought you seemed to enjoy it. Well, I mean, who doesn't enjoy nut? True. Honestly, I thought of you when we do that, ooh. Okay, so I don't want to, I don't even want to think about Haunter, the Pokemon, and tentacles, so I'm going to stop. But yeah, that's clearly not anyone forcing Ivory into roleplay. That's clearly something that Ivory was doing with others, and he was doing it prior to Pyrocynical. He was doing it without Pyrocynical's knowledge. So to me, I don't like this argument that Ivory was groomed, and I really don't like this idea that he was being manipulated by an adult, or it's pretty clear that's not what happened here. So people continuing to push the allegation of him being a groomer, I think is incredibly disingenuous. I think you can even say it's an outright lie at this point. Now, to Turkey Tom's credit, he has not made a statement on him being a groomer other than to say he can't dismiss it. I would say that if you continue to push it, it is not directed at Turkey Tom. Might be a little bit directed at Tommy C. But I think it's patently false, right? And again, in terms of responding to the grooming allegations, which is what this response is for, I think so far he's been on point. After Ivory alleged that I groomed him, this individual then reached out to him to apologize for any hurt he may have inadvertently caused him, to which Ivory responded, "No, you're fine, I don't care." Why does he not care in this instance? Why does he remain unaffected by a similar interaction with others, yet feel the need to single me out and character assassinate only me on social media? Furthermore, if he is as angry, confused, and sad as he claims to be, why has he been in friendly contact with me right up until September of this year? So he does show that is the case. Now, I want to be very clear here. People have taken this as an attack on Ivory. Okay. What would you call accusing someone of being a groomer without any evidence to something I think has largely been disproven by Ivory's own statements and by just what we've gone through so far, right? It's clear that the grooming allegation is false. It's clear that Ivory doesn't care what the actual definition of grooming is. He's just going to say it because he knows that it will harm Pyrocynical's reputation, right? Whether or not you want to argue that's a noble thing to do, it is an attack on Pyrocynical. So for you to say that he doesn't have a right to respond in kind, I'm just not there with you. As far as it being an attack on the victim, yeah, you can fuck off with that one. Because again, I've already said I do not see Ivory as being a victim based on his own interaction with others outside of Pyrocynical. But yeah, Turkey Tom did address this in his video. He said that Ivory did respond to this claim in Pyrocynical's response, and it was that Pyrocynical is the only one who has a platform and the influence. I think this is very inconsistent. If you do believe that someone is abusing kids or taking advantage of kids, right, in the nature of what is going on here with the erotic role play, well then any individual that is an adult that is engaged in this should be of concern to you. Why wouldn't they be? Just because they don't have the social media platform or presence doesn't mean that they cannot reach out to kids. In fact, I've already said this. Most pedos do not want to be high-profile individuals. They want to fly under the radar where it is safe. We addressed that with Chris Thurman, who did admit to having sexual conversations with a minor who he sent his dick pic to and kept trying to talk to her about how she thought about his... Look, it's really disgusting. We did a video on this. He essentially sent images of his penis, to use the proper term, and tried to get the 15-year-old who did inform him that she was 15, that, you know, did she like his dick, right? Fucking disgusting. And, you know, 15, clearly the guy was interested sexually in a 15-year-old, and Chris Thurman is a full-fledged adult. We're not even going to play any games here. So, yes, he had no real social media presence to speak of and still had access to minors. So if your issue is with what Pyrocynical did is immoral on every level and it's harmful to children, you can't be wishy-washy about it. You do need to actually call out everybody involved because it's clearly not just Pyrocynical there. Now, if you're not going to do that as a content creator, or not going to push Ivory to release the names of these other adults that he is engaged with, I'm sorry, but I think that that is immoral in terms of your own standards. Now, is that Pyrocynical being dishonest? It is not. I take issues with that personally, and it does seem like he is singling out Pyrocynical based on his platform, which obviously can be viewed as just clout chasing. Furthermore, if he is as angry, confused, and sad as he claims to be, why has he been in friendly contact with me right up until September of this year? Again, there's no real conversations between the two of them that I've ever seen where Ivory says that he is angry, that he is confused, that he is upset, that he doesn't want to do this, that he's being pushed into doing this. I don't see Pyrocynical in any way asserting any pressure over Ivory, talking about how he'll be excommunicated from the community. Nothing that even implies that. So again, in regards to the allegations of grooming, which is what this is a response to, I'm sorry, but again, Pyrocynical's response is perfectly fine. During the interview mentioned earlier, he was confronted with evidence that he sent kink art to someone else. He initially claims it was him, but then backtracks, claiming he has no recollection. Is that proof of anything? Is it a direct indictment against Ivory? I think it does speak to Ivory's character and what he wanted to do at this point. Now, if you want to say Pyrocynical is still irresponsible, I think that's an actual argument. Do I think that he is a predator, a groomer, or in any way seeking sexual gratification by being involved with minors? No, I'm sorry. I think the guy is following the law, and I don't take an issue with the age gap of 4 years. Now, I've been very critical of another content creator known as Ethan Ralph, who, and to be clear here, was about 36 when he started speaking with the 17-year-old. And when she was 18, got her pregnant and allegedly released their sex tape in order to take an own on her ex. Now, the reason why I'm bringing that up is 18 is age of consent, and I don't think anyone's going to argue against an 18-year-old doing what they do. But yeah, I take issues with someone who is twice the age of somebody else, right? In that age range of 20, I was even 21, right? 21 to 18 years old, and doing that sort of thing, right? I think that's morally incorrect. Other people don't have issues with it, clearly. But again, morality is subjective for that reason. I'm not here to personally attack anyone. I just want to clear my name. Being falsely accused has been extremely stressful, and it is such a serious issue. I feel it has to now be addressed. All that being said, I will kindly ask my fans to not call out Ivory, nor direct any negativity his way. I don't want to play any part in fueling or perpetuating hate. I just want to share the truth, close this chapter, move forward, and return to doing what I love, making unfunny videos. Now, people are going to argue that that's disingenuous. He's clearly attacking Ivory. And I think he does take shots at Ivory's credibility. But at the end of the day, he kind of has to, right? Because otherwise, Ivory's accusation of grooming stands as being credible. And I think that I've been far more critical of Ivory. I think other people have been far more critical of Ivory. And as far as the thing about not calling him out, I'm not a fan of Pyrocynical. I don't watch his content. I've never watched his content. I'm not subbed to his channel. I don't know this guy. What's the Christian saying? I don't know this guy from Adam, right? But I think that if you're going to call this response false on every single level, I think that that is very disingenuous. I think it's very dishonest. To say that you poked holes into this, I don't think is true. I really don't, because this is clearly a response to the accusation of grooming, which I think he does thoroughly debunk here, using Ivory's own words on the statement. And I do think that the content creators who have been addressing this story have been careful about stating that Pyrocynical is a groomer. Now, you can take issues with what I'm saying in this video, and with all the other videos I've done on the subject, I'm sure I will get a plethora of comments saying that I'm missing this and yada, yada, yada. Feel free to leave them if I feel it's worthy to. I usually respond in the comments to these videos because I know people are very opinionated, and I know I can be a prick. It's just kind of the type of guy that I am, unfortunately. But as far as what I've said in this video, as far as reading these statements and everything, I don't see how you are saying honestly that these claims have been disproven. I don't see how you're saying that it's been proven that Pyrocynical is a liar in these comments, because at best, you can maybe nitpick and say that certain things are disingenuous.
Novo lit that shit bang.